Hey guys, welcome back to the God is Within Her podcast. I'm your God's sis, Chelsea. Do you struggle with anxiety and control? I know I do, and it's been very hard to deal with, especially dealing with a lot of change. But dealing with a lot of change has prompted and encouraged me to be able to practice the art of surrendering to God and surrendering to the moment. Personally, I literally have lived in 3 states within 3 years. That is bonkers. And every time I move to another state, I'm like in search for God, in search for myself even more so, because there's nothing around that's familiar. It's all new. And for me, every time I take a step into something new, I can get crippled by anxiety and fear. And it has been a symptom of my trauma and things that I've gone through, because I was never like this. I was always fearless, ready to take on whatever, whenever. And being crippled into this moment to where I'm struggling with anxiety and control has been new. But like I said, dealing with change has allowed me to stand on God, okay? And I learned 3 things. Number 1 is be bold with your faith. Be vocal about your story at any time and show people how God moves in your life and however that looks like for you each day. For me, and some days it looks like picking up this mic to record a podcast. And some days it is talking about God in a job interview. Some days it's just talking about being faithful. So it's whatever that looks like for you. That's between you and God. But I've been watching, I watched some of my girls on YouTube, like Kavaya, Only One Jess, and I watched the Fill in the Blank podcast. And within all those podcasts, literally within the last week, they have all been proclaiming how God has been moving in their life. And that is just beautiful. Kavaya talked about Ecclesiastes 6:10. Whatever exists has already been named, and what humanity is has been known. No one can contend with someone who is stronger. And it allowed me to read through the whole Ecclesiastes, and it just prompted me to go to chapter 3. And chapter 3 really resonated with me because it said, there's a time for everything. A season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born. A time to die. A time to plant. And a time to uproot. A time to kill. And a time to heal. A time to tear down. And a time to build. A time to weep. And a time to laugh. A time to mourn. And a time to dance. A time to scatter stones. And a time to gather them. A time to embrace. And a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search. And a time to give up. A time to keep. And a time to throw away. A time to tear. And a time to mend. A time to be silent. And a time to speak. A time to love. And a time to hate. A time for war. And a time for peace. Yes, get into that, because it even more so lets you know why you have to be in tune to your spirit and in tune to God. It's because there's a time for either or at any point in time. And you, with the spirit, have to figure out which time you're sitting in now. Is it the time to plant, or is it the time to uproot? It's like you have to be so Because in our own right, in our own mind, in our own capacity, we are not perfect. We are just human and we will mess up. And when we need to start things new, it feels so scary. But be bold in your faith. It's literally already done. There's a time for everything. Lean on God to figure out when that time is. So number 1, be bold in your faith. Number 2, stop stressing. Don't worry about when things change. Be excited for the future. And what can make you feel comfortable in that is just knowing God's character and remembering all the times that God showed up for you. And remembering Ephesians 3:20, he does exceedingly above more than we can even ask or think. Like, fathom that. It's hard too because it's above what we can think. So if we can't think about it, how can we fathom it? But just even try with the littlest inclination, try to just imagine what God can have for you. It's similar to that meme of where Jesus is holding a big teddy bear behind his back and then has a teddy bear that they're trying to take from the child. And the child doesn't know that if you just give me what you're so comfortable with now, I can give you 10 times more. It's that surrender. But be bold in it. Don't stress because we are in good hands. We are in great hands. And number 3, uncertainty literally encourages you to have faith. Yes, you can consider the other factors that may come up, but don't let that stifle you because you are moving big things. Okay? Anytime it gets hard, just rejoice. As it says in 1 Thessalonians 5:16. Rejoice always. Pray continually. Give thanks in all circumstances. For this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. So don't lose hope. That was a message from my good brother Paul. Don't lose hope. We know the God that we are believing in. We know the God that holds us through each day. We know the God that spirit lies within us. And we know God that spirit lies within Jesus, who redeemed us and gave us that connection, that direct connection, that connection to God. So really, really practice the art of surrender. Surrender to the Spirit, to your spirit, to God, love, and life. All right, friends, we've made it to the faith check. This is where I challenge you to meditate on the scriptures mentioned in this episode in your alone time with God. So the scriptures of this episode was Ecclesiastes chapter 3, Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20, 1 Thessalonians 16 through 18. Okay, get into your word. All right, guys, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed this message. I'll see you next time. Bye. Make sure you subscribe to the show so you don't miss when we post the next episode.